Live at lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff.
For some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From Rufino's on Highland Road, welcome to the Football Friday edition. Lock of the Week Friday presented by Tex Morris and Edward Jones Investments here at the brand new remodeled main bar here at Rufino's. If you're watching along with us on YouTube, it's just a little bit brighter in here. Now, most of what the work is done is on the other side of where our camera is I'm a movie director, Rich, in my spare time. But come on in and see it for yourself. The remodel looks great. They've been working most of the month of August through this, and you can really tell it's brighter in here. We got some more light, and really, really terrific job by the staff here. You're going to love it. And look, I even got Barry the bartender to smile today. He's so happy with
first time ever.
Yeah, you said that. The first time we've ever seen Barry smile. No, it's a lot easier workstations and things like that for the staff here. But you're going to notice the aesthetics right away. So come on in, get out of the rain today, and come on and spend Football Friday with. Nobody's getting any work done after lunch today anyway, right?
I have one more thing I need to do today, and then we're getting ready for the weekend.
Right. I wish we had another 4:30 game like we had yesterday. I'm Charles Hannegriff, along with former Tiger Richard Dixon. We'll do the first hour here as we fall into our football routine here. Jimmy will join the show at the normal time in the second hour, and we'll go until 1 o'clock today. We're here at Rufino's, and day before LSU takes on Clemson. We had some football last night. We'll touch on that a little bit. But as you get through August, you're waiting for this day. It's like kids waiting for Christmas. If you remember when you were a kid, December just took forever. That's kind of how August feels like it sometimes. But we're here, and we're ready, and can't wait for tomorrow. I did not expect the story that hit yesterday while we were on the air, and we sort of reacted to it in real time. And the A.J. Halsey suspension, which is going to take place in the first half of tomorrow night's game against Clemson. So quite a bit to unpack here. First of all, Rich, the first practice I went to, I texted you as soon as I got out. I said, "You're going to like this kid." Yeah. And then you got a chance to go to practices after that. And he said, "Yeah, we like this kid." And everybody that went out there said, "Yeah, we like this kid." And if we needed any more affirmation, Whit Weeks on, I think it was Wednesday, Tuesday or Wednesday, said, the guy y'all not talking about enough is A.J. Halsey. And I'm like, man, he doesn't listen to the show. I mean,
that's what everybody's talking about.
Yeah, all we've been talking about is A.J. Halsey. But his impact, I expected to be significant, and still do. LSU safety play a year ago, we did it in the film study, was poor.
Yeah.
It's plain as we can put it. It was poor. And it was a real liability, and they went out and they addressed it. They brought in Halsey. They brought in Tamarcus Cooley, and we saw the difference in the practices that we saw. So this is in no way a small thing that he's not going to be in there for the first half. And then it begs the question, how in the hell did this get missed? And I'm not – look, it's Brian Kelly's job, okay? It's Brian Kelly's job to know this stuff, okay? He's the head of the program, and I realize they got enough people over there on staff to run NORAD, okay? And how did this get missed?
I'm hoping that, it just got missed to us. I pray to God that it's a deal where, we're all sitting here, it's something that wasn't mentioned. They had to have known about, when you do your research into it, they watched the film.
No.
You don't think they did at all?
No, I don't. No, I don't.
Okay,
and not only did they miss it, everybody in the media missed it too.
Yeah.
I missed it. You missed it. Everybody that goes out. The first practice I went to, it looked like just an eyeball test. They probably credentialed, 60, 70 people to cover LSU football in August. They're national people. This is a national story now. It's on ESPN's headlines. They all missed it. The only people – Halsey didn't know the rule. I mean, it's not his job to know the rule. Houston – don't blame Houston. Man, that guy's out the door.
Yeah.
You think LSU's going babysit all the kids that transferred out? No, it ain't their fault. It ain't Clemson's fault because that they dropped this and were they holding this little nugget? Yeah. I'm sure that they were. And then they leak it to a reporter, and all of a sudden it's a story. Everybody seemingly missed this. You and I did 2 different podcasts on transfers back in February. We did the film study. We ran film on all of them, but we didn't have Halsey.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna tell you that if we had Halsey, we would have known. We had film on Tamarcus Cooley, and he got in an altercation in their last game, but he wasn't ejected, so he was not suspended. But we didn't see that. We're mostly looking at highlights and stuff like that, so we didn't see that. But this is Kelly's job, and they have brought in enough staff. Seemingly, if a kid over there's got his shoe untied, they got a staffer to tie his shoe and a staffer to buy him another pair of shoes in case these laces break, and they miss this. And I just don't know how. When you're
when did this
so
come out?
detailed.
I mean, I saw it after my son's practice last night.
Wednesday night.
Golly.
And look, the game was on television. I'm not going to tell you it was a high-profile game. Houston was 4-7. They were playing a okay BYU team.
Be honest,
and it happened at the end of the game.
If I was watching the game, I didn't know who A.J. Halsey was until he was coming here.
Right, and Jimmy watches every game that is on television anywhere. I mean, if they're playing football in Siberia, Jimmy's watching, and he saw this game, and he didn't remember this either. I mean, why would it's a skirmish at the end of a game that was not a high-profile game. It just happened, but it was out there. I mean, anybody could go watch the film. Anybody could have seen this, and how you miss something like this. And like I said, I didn't catch it. Nobody in me. Twitter didn't catch it.
Yeah, that's tough.
Okay, or the ones that caught it kept it quiet until they could pop it right at the end. And if you put a comma out of place, everybody on Twitter is going to tell you how stupid you are.
Yeah.
If somebody farts in church in Idaho, Twitter knows about it and they've got video. None of this came out anywhere, which is in 2025 is amazing.
It seems like it'd be harder to keep that secret.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
But we all missed it.
Yeah.
Nobody can sit here today, except maybe that cat in Clemson, and says, "Well, we knew about it. We just, we didn't say that. We've been holding this information." Everybody missed it, but it's Kelly's job not to miss stuff like this, because the real impact of this is if you had known a month ago, he's still getting suspended.
You'd have worked with your next guy up.
You would have known. Yeah, you
who
missed.
Who is the next guy? Is it Spears? Is it
I think it's
Gilbert?
going to be Spears, but you could see some Toviano in there.
Okay.
You could see Jordan Gilbert in there, who started all through last year. My main thing is, if you had known about this a month ago, in my opinion, after the first 4, which is Cooley, Halsey, Stamps for now, and Mansour Delane. That's your top 4 defensive backs, your top 2 corners, and your top 2 safeties. I think right now your next best defensive back is P.J. Woodland. Okay, if you knew about this a month ago, you could have worked Delane if you don't want to.
Mansour Delane played safety.
He played some safety. He's played some safety.
Yeah.
You could have put him back there, and your next best guy is Woodland. I think it's too late to do that now. You would be asking a hell of a lot of Delane to go back there and work at a position he hasn't worked out all August. At least that we have seen. They let us into practice, but not every practice. But I haven't seen or heard anything of him working back there. So you're robbed of that time. How much more would you have worked him back there? I don't know, maybe none. It's not like LSU's going to go out there with 10 tomorrow, but you would have certainly liked to have this kid. So let's talk strategy here for a minute. If you're Clemson, aren't you trying to
expose it?
Yeah,
you're going to go after that.
That's harder to go after a safety than a corner, I would think. But tell me,
you can start running. Middle high, running guys deep. Making sure you put the pressure on the safety to where he has to be there to help, or he's the guy that's playing off of him. But it's more in the deep shots. I mean, you're going to have to take deep shots to put it on the safety. For me, I think this is one of those times that let's fire up that front seven. I mean, you got Whitweeks, you got Perkins, you got the plethora of guys we've talked about. I mean, if I'm in that locker room right now and I'm on that team, and I'm, Weeks, I'm telling everybody, screw it. Let's take care of it up front. Let's go beat their ass up front, and don't put the pressure on the safety. I mean, this is some type of motivating factor that they're going to have to put on themselves to go out there and try to change the game.
If they win the toss, would you take the ball? Is it that big of a deal? Are you trying to steal even one possession? Ordinarily, I'm a defer guy. I'm a defer guy 101 times out of 100.
I feel like Kelly's taken the ball
Kelly's taken the ball a number of times. Now, this is different. This is on the road. Look, before yesterday, I'm deferring. I'm going to put that defense out on the field first. The jitters on the offense are going to be on the other side. I'm going to try to take as much as I can the crowd out of the game by getting a 3 and out or getting a stop and getting the ball back. I'm going to put all the pressure on them. But now I'm thinking, and I'm not glued to this. I'm asking your opinion. Now I'm thinking, can I steal one possession if I take the ball with him not on the field? Is it that big a deal, or am I overthinking it?
I'm thinking defer. I mean,
okay.
Right now the hype is.
I'm just asking.
No,
I'm not glued.
And, I was going back and forth in my head, but listening to the way they're talking about this defense. I mean, this is the change everybody's been waiting for. We've had great offenses the last 3 years. We've had bad defenses. This is what everybody's looking for. Let's go out there and show them on the very first snap of the ball, the guys that we went and got, how badass we're going to be this year, and let's put it all to rest. If you go out there and shut them down in that first series, we don't care.
Okay. I got to ask you about when you were playing, there were always, and I don't mean almost, always somebody suspended for the first game, okay? Because let's be real honest, the cannabis policy was a lot stricter back then, and the academic,
It's like we played a game with somebody who's suspended every time.
Well, yeah, but we didn't find out about it usually until they, the academics, it seemed to come into play a little bit more. Like you said, there was always something. And I don't remember for probably a 10, 12-year period LSU was ever at full strength for the opener. Somebody was always suspended. We didn't find out about it a lot of times until game time. That BYU game, they played in the Superdome. It looked like they were playing with the junior varsity roster. They were down. Their numbers were so down. And then ironically, it took a basketball coach coming in to go, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Why are you suspending everybody for the first game? Suspend them when you play Northwestern State in week 3.
We don't have to do a game 1.
Yeah, y'all nuts?
Yeah.
And also with the cannabis policy also is like, for this? Okay. And now it's pretty much legal. But back then, so when you guys were preparing, the question I'm asking you, when you guys were preparing knowing guys were going to be out, but they were going to be back in game 2 as full-fledged starters, how did it affect your prep?
We usually they kept it hidden from the whole team for the most part. Like
they didn't tell you guys.
We didn't know until you started hearing. It wasn't like an announcement that came out, hey, guys, we're going to have so-and-so sitting out. Like you started hearing through, hey, so-and-so's going to be gone. Like,
right.
You kind of figured out. Nobody made an announcement. Just your friends found out, or you had somebody in that room that they started sliding the guy in. But, it was, for me, I've always taken the aspect of everybody was recruited here. Everybody was good. It's next guy up. I mean, and I know that sounds so cliche, but that's the way we were raised in this game is, everybody here is on scholarship. There's a reason you're here. Put the next guy up and make him do his job.
Put your shoulder pads back on for a second. Would this piss you off if this came out a couple of – I mean, you put the whole offseason into this. And this is not going to necessarily cost LSU the game. I mean, hell, Deshaun Spears might go out there and have 2 picks tomorrow night in the first half. I don't know. But would this be like – it's kind of like it's dirty pool, right?
Well, I'd really hate to find out over the radio or on the TV at night. And
that's why Kelly was late to the show, the coach's show last night, because they were telling Halsey what was going on. Yeah. But go ahead.
That's aggravating. I mean, like – It's one thing if we had a players meeting, brought up, hey guys, this is what's going to happen, blah blah blah. This is who we're going with. He's going to come out, second half. But if I'm sitting at home and I'm on the couch and he's not playing, like finding out that way, you're going to be pissed off because you're like, hey, we're a bunch of kids in here. I mean, but there's got to be an adult in the room. Somebody has to know what's going on. Why aren't we aware? Cue
ball went off the other ball. This is dirty pool. Okay, but you know what? It may be dirty pool, but it's 100% legal. It may feel like dirty pool is the way I'm trying to say, but it's 100% legal. Not one person that is on the LSU end can look at this thing and nobody has and say, well, He didn't throw a punch. He did. He threw more than one. And, the rule is clear. It's not an obscure rule. This is not Ronnie Pruden, the leverage rule back at Auburn in 2004. This is a well-known rule. The game was on television. Nobody tried that. You just didn't catch it.
Yeah. I mean,
this is on you. If you're Brian Kelly, this is on you. And I'm sure he is. This is just my opinion. Nobody's told me this. I'm sure he's furious that nobody on his staff caught this. They brought in a whole front office. I mean, their cabinet is bigger than the government's, and nobody caught this. I'm sure he's steamed and should be.
And Halsey knows the rules, too. For me, does he forget about it because he's in a new spot, new place, new things going on? But, I mean, when you throw a punch and you get ejected from the game, the first thing that goes through your mind is, I got to miss next game.
Your mind.
Yeah.
Okay, but I don't know.
But I can see it with the transfer and then getting to a new location.
And
all of that is so much more than, if I'm at LSU and that happens the last game, I know all summer long I'm pissed off because I got to miss the first half of the next game.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure that's how most guys are. But in this day and age, when you change schools, change conference, new things, I can see how, you could –
it's my life. If I don't say anything, nobody nobody told me anything.
It didn't happen.
Every now and then there's an overtime game, either college or the pros, and inevitably you'll talk to some player after the game doesn't know the overtime rules.
Yeah.
Okay. And look, these days in the NFL they've changed 4 times in the last 10 years, I think. So I'm not even sure I know the overtime rules. They're different from the play. I mean, I know them now, but they were different from the postseason to the regular season. So it's not A.J. Halsey's job to know
it's not his job.
That he could potentially be suspended. They know the fighting rule. They know they're going to get thrown out of that game. But like you said, it's season to season. It's team to team. No, this ain't on him. This is on you. This is on the grown-ups in the room.
You have a lot of guys that are. I mean, what was the joke earlier? This is for the first time ever. There's more staff than players.
That's what I'm saying. The staff is monstrous. They've got one guy
that's shocking. It gets overlooked.
Yes, absolutely. All right, we're here at Rufino's Football Friday. The shrimp crackers and crab, one of your appetizer features today. Also the crab beignets, beer battered. The entree feature today. The crab cakes with the corn mock shoe added to them. Crystal hot sauce on that, and your skin-on red snapper with jumbo lump crab meat, crab biscuit, and roasted potatoes is here. Dessert feature today is Death by Chocolate espresso, which is absolutely fabulous. I know this because we had some the other night for the competition dinner, which came off fantastic. We are here at Rufino's. Come on by and see us. Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris at Edward Jones Investments on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris of Edward Jones Investments. Now, back to Live at Lunch from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And we're also brought to you by the Morris Insurance Group. If you are looking for insurance on some of those hard-to-insure items, your hunting camp, your fishing camp, your boats, your trailers, your RVs, your ATVs, get it with the Morris Insurance Group. Also in those properties that are flood insurance is required, or if you just want it, they have flood insurance available too. Your big boy toys are insurable at the Morris Insurance Group. Of course, auto and homeowners commercial insurance available too. Call 225-201-0007, 225-201-0007. That's from my man Buzzy Hydell at the Morris Insurance Group, and you can also get a quote online, morris-ig.com. Rich, let's talk about the script. The first 10 to 15 plays for LSU, regardless of whether they get the ball first or not. What are you looking for? You've got a new offensive line, but an experienced quarterback. I don't have to go through the personnel. We've done it 100 times. What do you want to see in the script?
On the road in this environment, a lot of quick hitters. Just, get the ball out fast, mix in the run. Don't give them the opportunity to make the big play, the big sack fumble. At this right now, I want to keep it, a 3-step drop, get the ball out your hands fast. And just, Matt tells you all the time, if you can withstand the first drive in a heated environment where everybody's going crazy. A punt is not a bad thing. You can punt the ball away and let everybody calm down and get the jitters out. But you don't want to go out there and try to hit them deep, get a sack fumble, a big hit on your quarterback. And that just starts building the momentum that gets really hard to wash away from. So right now, I go out, run the ball, quick hit. A lot of times you can throw a slant and make a big play, but just something quick, keep the positive, as much positive play as you can stay in.
Low risk.
Low risk.
Okay. You've told this story before about the game you guys played in Florida in, I think it was 2008, where you came out and you saw something completely different than what they had shown on film. To me, there's even more of a volatility here that Clemson could put something out there that they didn't show on film a year ago, that they've spent all August working on. How do you prepare for the unexpected?
That's on the coaches at that point. That's the coaches that got to make quick changes, understand what's going on. And, for the 08 Florida game, what you're talking about is, they lined up in the look that we've been practicing all year long. We thought we had to play into it, and they all went the complete opposite direction we thought they were going to. And that was a game plan where the only time in my life the coaches apologized to us. They put that one on the coaches. They screwed up. They didn't make the adjustments. This is one where I think when you have the staff we have the analysts you have the amount of people in the press conference. There's got to be an A game plan and a B game plan, and there's got to be the guys that can make the moves on the run.
I think there's a lot of pressure on Braylon Moore here because he's got to operate with a left guard that is going to be, according to Brian Kelly, rotating. So you tell me, you talked a lot of times about how when you broke into the lineup, there are people helping you. Now you're breaking in a new left, well, maybe not a new left guard if Mobenga starts, but at least at some point you're going to have new left guards in there. Your left tackles had a really good August, but it's also a fairly new player. So is your right tackle. Your right guard is an experienced guy, but not here, not with this group. How much pressure is on Braylon Moore to keep all this straight?
Braylon Moore's a new guy too. None of these guys have been together. So,
but it's on him to get everybody straight.
Well, it's on him to get the guards. The tackles, the tackles are going to kind of be outside. But, from what I look at it is, Weston Davis, Tyree Adams, everybody's talked well about them all year long. The times I've seen them, they played well. You hope that they've put their time in the study and understand every aspect of the offense that they're looking to do. So if you have a center that's solid, you got your two tackles that are solid, you have communication on both sides of the guards. So it's something that they just got to be out there communicating. And trust me, it's tough when you're going on the road in this environment. But those guys got to be able to communicate to each other and keep each other on the same page.
Okay, how complicated is this?
It's tough. I remember yelling at Peter Dykowski, Peter was the guy that kept me in line my freshman year, and he was the guy that I had to get up in his face and get him in my ear and make sure I was hearing everything. So it's just, you got to, get with the guy that you communicate well with, and then, let him know. Don't be scared to say, I don't have the call. You can't go out there and think you have it, line up, and try to, I think I got it. Make sure you know what the call is and make sure you know what you're doing.
Did you do it with a Canadian accent when you were getting with
I had to tell him, I was like, stop the Canadian accent. I can't hear you right now. It's too loud. But, what I'm saying is, don't – and, I was a true freshman. I can remember looking at him, and I don't care how it looks on TV if I'm grabbing him and, making sure I had the play. You can't think you got it. You got to make sure you heard what he said.
Okay. With all of the noise and everything else going on, it becomes that much more difficult. Would you take a shot early? Just try to. You got two of the fastest guys. You got two of the fastest guys on the field.
I don't know if I would do it in my first 3 plays. If I hit off a big run,
no, not necessarily the first 3, but the first. We're calling the script 15.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I'm getting into my first drive and I get a first down and I get a second down and I'm moving the ball, I can run the ball. I'm hitting a quick game, and this way where I'm kind of putting the defense on their heels. They're trying to keep make the next big play. I see them starting to get antsy and they're starting to fly down. Well, yeah, if I've gotten 2 first downs on the third series, I'm taking a shot.
What about the one thing that's completely unexpected? I remember the 2018 game that they played Miami in Dallas, and we spent the entire summer just the way we have this way, talking about everything under the sun, LSU. And the first play, if I'm remembering this right, I think the first play of the game was to Leonard Fournette, which nobody had. And it's like, okay, so is there something completely out of left field? I don't know. We hadn't mentioned Jelani Watkins' name one time all August, but he's the fastest guy on the team, potentially. That's risky. That's risky, I know.
But you got a Nick Anderson. You got you got 7 guys. I feel like
Harlem Berry.
Yeah, Harlem Berry. I mean,
somebody we're not talking about. They don't have
there's
film
going to be
on.
something that they got plays in there. But like let's get 7 to 9 plays into it. Let's get a positive drive going, and then hit them with something.
The last thing you want to do is go with the 3 and out.
Yeah, but see, a 3 and out is not, as long as it's not bad plays. Like you can get to a 3rd and 2 and you get stuff not really bad. You move the ball a little bit.
There are worse things.
Don't take a sack. No interception, no fumble. Like, don't let something that makes the stadium erupt happen.
We're brought to you by Coastal Capital Advisors, because when it comes to retirement, no two situations are exactly the same. Let Philip Fontenot and his staff get you a plan that makes sense for your family, no matter what stage of life you're at, what your age, what are your income levels. They'll make a plan that is perfect for you. It's part of the lifetime relationship that they want to build with you. That's certainly what they've done for our family. I feel very comfortable with where we are. So they'll work with your business partners, tax professionals, to make sure the plan fits for you. For more information, go to coastalcapitaladv.com, coastalcapitaladv.com, member FINRA, SIPC. We'll take a break, come back, we'll talk a little bit about LSU's defense against the Clemson offense when we return live at Rufino's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris of Edward Jones Investments. Now, back to Live at Lunch from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And we're also brought to you by Total Maintenance, AC and heating, generators, electricity, plumbing. Total Maintenance, your one-stop sales and service shop for all of them. Since 1980, their slogan's been service today, every day, so nobody ever has to go to sleep uncomfortable. New Orleans and Baton Rouge, full staff, authorized dealer for Carrier, American Standard, Daikin, and Rheem AC units, Generac and Cummins generators for all your electrical and plumbing needs as well. In Baton Rouge, 480-1000. In New Orleans, 841-3300. Service today, every day at Total Maintenance. One more thing on the offense before we switch sides. We were kind of talking during the break. You hear 8 offensive linemen are going to play, and it makes you a little bit nervous. By the way, Dabo Swinney said 7 are going to play for Clemson. They've got similar issues over there, even though they've got more experience in their starters. He said they're going to play 7. When you talk about that many linemen, you start to think about a lot of different moving parts. But then Kelly kind of clarified it a little bit last night that this is mostly going to be at left guard.
Yeah.
Your tackles are set, okay? I think a week ago, 2 weeks ago, we might have thought, well, maybe Karius Kern's going to get some time in at right tackle. I'd be surprised if he went in there.
I think that was
unless Weston Davis.
That was a challenge, Weston Davis. Like, let's get out there, give him more competition. There's times in camp when you're beating a guy so bad that you can get a little bit lackadaisical, and that's a move coaches do all the time. Is let's switch it up. Let's put the pressure on him.
I think they also needed a swing tackle, and I think he's it. So they needed to give him some reps at right tackle. I agree with you there. I'm not expecting a rotation at right guard. I think Josh Thompson is going to be in, again, unless he struggles. I think the rotation is at left guard only tomorrow. I think it's Mubenga to start, but I think you're going to see Cohen Eccles, who I like an awful lot, and Kern, who's battled some tendonitis a week ago but is ready to go. The injury sheet is blank. The suspension sheet has one half, but the injury sheet is and then you may see a little bit of DJ Chester over there. So when you can isolate it to one position, it's almost like, find me one. And by the way, I think if they go out there and they move the football, then the rotation thing goes out the window. If the guy's playing well, I ain't taking him out.
You're starting with the 5 they go out there with, and like you said, if they're moving the ball, they're not changing it up. Unless one guy's just getting his butt whooped. But that's you have 4 guys to throw at one position. There's a lot of options in there. There's a lot of guys that have seen things that they like. I'm feeling a lot better about the offensive line the more the closer we get.
Let's flip sides. Defending Cade Klubnik, who is an excellent quarterback, and I'm sorry, but the scars of last year have not completely faded for me. I'm concerned about this gentleman's ability to run the football.
Yeah.
I know it's all different guys, a lot of different guys on the LSU defense, and I know that Klubnik is not Jalen Milroe. I get that. But he could run for, what seems like a reasonable amount of yards and really crush them, okay? What is your best idea about how LSU will defend Klubnik, the runner?
We got to have possibly the fastest linebacking core in the SEC. I mean, Weeks is back. Perkins is back. I mean, and of course, Weeks was there last year when we had some of our issues, but he was one of our only guys, because Perkins was out. When we've had Perkins in games where you could spy a quarterback, Perkins in years past was able to take that away. I think it's something that's probably embarrassed Blake Baker. It's something that, it stuck with him. It's something that he doesn't want to, A&M, when we saw what Marcel Reed did in the second half, that killed everybody. You saw it with Alabama. It was such a big issue. I think there's a rhyme and reason to having the most athletic linebackers he's had since he's been here.
It's the killer play. You know how many yards Marcel Reed had in that game for LSU, against LSU?
Not many, but it seemed like inside the 20.
Yes. 62 yards, okay,
Yeah.
which is a healthy total for a quarterback, but is not the 150 that Milroe ran for. But he scored 3 touchdowns on the ground. They were just a killer
They were
plays.
backbreakers.
I don't expect Klubnik to go out there and run for 95 yards, but he could run for 60 and absolutely rip your heart out. You mentioned Perkins. How do you spy if you're on the outside? Don't tell me you put him back in the middle.
No, but you can have like a dual spy. You're going to have guys that sit off to the side, and Perkins got everything from the center right. They're going to have the other linebacker everything from the center left.
Yeah, that's communication.
There's a lot. It's communication is what it boils down to. I mean, you can run a spy without having a guy follow. So it's always point of the ball. Who's going to spy on this half, who's spying on that half, and then you communicate from there.
And I'm almost like, if you're going to have one spy, and if they do that, they may not. I don't know. To me, it's almost got to be Witt because he's right there in the center of the field, and I think he can run with Klubnik. I don't.
100%.
There are some lumbering inside linebackers. Weeks isn't one of them. He can run with Klubnik.
Weeks is a guy that we've always talked about Perkins, but when Weeks came on the scene, he moves a lot like Perkins. Weeks is a very underestimated speed guy. The guy can fly around the ball. We've seen what he can do. I feel. We hadn't played a football game yet, so I feel very confident in everything that's happening.
Right.
I feel really good about everything.
Talk to me this time
Saturday
on Sunday.
night,
Yeah.
things could change. But, I'm confident right now, and I trust in Blake Baker. I've seen the things he's done everywhere he's been. I see the way the guys speak about him, the way the guys react around him. And I think that, we have the most talent, no doubt everybody's the most talent they've had here under Brian Kelly. I'm just looking forward to go put all the pieces together.
I'm concerned all of a sudden about communication in the secondary because while whoever takes the spot in the starting lineup for Halsey tomorrow night has practiced.
Go back to the interview you talked about with Weeks. What did he say? He's like, me and Halsey communicate on every play.
Yeah.
So when you talk about, that is a concerning aspect because, Weeks relays up front. He gets back with Halsey. They make sure that the secondary and the front's on the same page. But that's something that I promise you, when they found out, whether it was Wednesday night, Thursday morning, the next guy up in Weeks are talking right now. I mean, they're going to start understanding it and, put the next 48 hours on that.
I just think about the month, man.
Yeah.
Because let's say it's Spears, and then I think that's who it's going to be. But let's say it's Spears. I don't know how many practice reps he's got with these guys. His practice reps have, since the first week, at least what we've seen, primarily been with the second unit, with the other guys, okay, or Jordan Gilbert. The next man up goes in there, but he's going in there with a group that his practice reps have been limited. With that group,
Yeah.
His assignments are the same, but the communication is a little different.
I can give you an example when we talk about the next man up, and I get where everybody's concerned, but in the national championship against Ohio State, Craig Stelz goes down. Next guy up, Harry Coleman. He makes an interception, fumble recovery. He makes big play after big play, and
Thank you
you
for
almost
that.
forget about what happened. So the next guy up, when I see it as a player, there's a reason why we have confidence in everybody. There's a reason, like we weren't going into the national championship saying, no big deal if Craig Stelz gets hurt.
Right.
When he does get hurt, the next guy is Harry Coleman, and he makes a lot of plays. He becomes a household name in that game and is a star going into the future.
Why didn't you lead with that?
Just
You could have said that at 10 o'clock, and everybody would have calmed down for 45 minutes. Harry Coleman had a great game in that game, and Stelz was an All-American. I mean, I love Halsey, but he ain't played it down here.
Yeah.
How did I miss that? Man, I'm just missing stuff left and right. They didn't kick the ball. That's a great example. Maybe Spears, or maybe it's Toviano. Maybe
never know.
It's not like Gilbert hasn't played. Maybe the next guy. See, I feel better. I feel better already. Let's talk a little bit about that defensive line and Bernard Gooden. We talked about this on the podcast. By the way, Handicast is up right now. Richard and I did about a little under an hour. We went through every position on the team. We went through pretty much every scenario except their starting safety getting suspended. We didn't do that. We did this back on Monday, but you can get that on YouTube right now. Gooden has been unblockable at times in these practices, but he's 270 pounds, and we're talking about, at least for me, I don't want to have to load up his snap count because, and it may not be in this game, but somewhere down the line, he's going to get beat up. He's going to get worn down. He's going to be playing against guards that outweigh him by 40 to 50 pounds. So I think you keep, and they have the luxury of fresh legs.
Yeah.
They have Jacobian Guillory. They have Ahmad Bro. They have Don McKinley. They don't have to go load up the reps on anything.
For me, I mean, he's a guy that no one was really, we talked about in the transfer portal, but nobody's come in saying he was going to be the star. We had two great freshmen last year with Don McKinley and Ahmad Bro, guys that I've been excited about all summer long to watch them play the next year because, man, when you have two true freshman defensive tackles that gave the output they gave last year, got better every game, started, becoming, game wreckers, and that's what I was looking forward to. And then all of a sudden, all the talk is good one. And he's the guy that everybody's talking to. And then you got, Guillory coming back. So, I mean, right now it's a great feeling to understand that you got four guys you're confident going in there with, and that you can keep a rotation. Like you said, keep fresh legs.
We're brought to you by Louisiana Health and Injury Centers, helping you deal with pain. Dr. Michael Goff and his staff. Wow. There have been times where my wife has had back pain, or I've had back pain, muscle soreness, neck pain, things that keep you from getting around as well as you'd like, or an old injury is flaring up. You have any old injuries, Rich? You got a whole laundry list full. Let them help you out. Let them get you adjusted, get you into a program, an exercise and stretching program that makes sense for you. If you need to graduate to a dry needle or electric nerve stimulation, cryo, ultrasound therapy, any of the techniques that they use to get you feeling better. Airline Highway, Plank Road, Jefferson Highway near Drusilla. Dr. Michael Goff, Louisiana Health and Injury Centers. Live at Rufino's Log of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris at Edward Jones Investments on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris of Edward Jones Investments. Now, back to Live at Lunch from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And return here, the remodel bar here at Rufino's Columbine. See us here as we enjoy the afternoon getting ready for LSU and Clemson. Our pregame coverage starts at 1:30 tomorrow at Rouse's. Rich will be a part of that. And, of course, on with me for postgame for another year. Glad to have you back. You certainly prepared for enough big games in your life. What's going through Garrett Nussmeier's mind right now? Do you think a little, not 24 hours, but a little bit more than what 30 hours to kick off or whatever it is?
Let's get there. I mean, this is probably the most high anxious part because you're just ready to get there. You've been practicing all summer long. You've been getting ready all camp. I've walked into that facility. It's 1-0 with the paw print everywhere. This is a game that it's been on everybody's mind. Now this is the longest part. You talk about waiting on Christmas. This next 24 hours is waiting on Christmas. This is where
you can't fall asleep on Christmas Eve.
You can't fall asleep. You're sitting there. You're ready to get to the game day. And once you get into your routine, it's all one game at a time. You
told a story before about the first time. I think it was the first time you'd really played, or maybe it was your first start. Was at Auburn, correct?
Yes, I was. My first road start.
First road start. Okay. the amount of prep that you had to do the night before. You tell you they wouldn't let you go to the movie because you're. So what's going on in that secondary room right now? 24 hours to it. Now that they've been thrown this curveball that they should have seen coming but didn't. What's that?
There's extra film sessions. There's extra conversations with Corey's not the safeties. It's who's the safeties coach?
Your boy.
Yeah, but that guy. I say Corey because Corey's who I think of on the DBs. But
Corey. I mean, it's part of it.
Yeah, there's going to be extra conversations, extra film. But I think that like you said, they've got a few different options. They're going to talk to the guys, and it's going to be they're going to put
Jay
themselves
Colson.
in the best
I
situation.
was completely blanking on his name. I got the nervous. Just I missed this damn story, just like everybody else did. So, just went brain dead. I'm sorry. Continue.
It's not a true freshman that we're talking about throwing back out there. It's a guy that's seen some game time. Guy that's played. When we talk about Spears, he started in Las Vegas game 1 last year as a true freshman. So whoever it is, there's going to be some extra conversations, a little bit of extra film room, but they're going to do everything they can until that guy tells them, I got it.
Halsey can play in the second half. It's not like he can't.
2 quarters.
He can't play at all.
Get a good 9 to 11-minute drive on the first offensive series.
Well, that's why I asked you if you take the ball. I mean, I don't have – I'm not telling you that they should or they shouldn't. I'm saying it's something you should consider if you're trying to steal. Listen, if the odds makers are right, and this is a one-possession game, and I think it very well could be, and you can steal one possession in the first half, and maybe it doesn't work out that way. Maybe it ends up as the exact same amount of possessions. I don't know how the game flow is going to be. But I think you got to consider it that, hey, maybe we should do this. And if we can steal one possession, maybe we steal one opportunity from Clemson to make a big play because we don't have our guy in there. And maybe that's the difference in the game. I don't know.
I'm of the mindset of you knew if you were taking the ball or kicking on Monday. And that's the idea.
And this doesn't change it.
Doesn't change it.
Okay. Playing in an environment like this, this LSU's first trip to Clemson. What's it like when you're coming in on the bus? And I saw the hype video, and I've become kind of numb to these things, but the really cool visuals of the overhead at Clemson where the buses are coming in and all that. It's pretty cool stuff. What's it like?
This is why you come to the SEC, and that's a cliche, but like. That's the games I dreamed of. I grew up with my father, my grandfather. We all played in the SEC. I've watched every SEC football game since I was 5 years old. This isn't necessarily an SEC game, but this is a big game. You come to LSU to play in these big games, and this is where you soak it all in. Like you're going to sit there with your headphones on or whatever your pregame routine is. You're going to be watching, seeing everything, and like all it does is it builds that energy. But once you get in the locker room, it's something special that you just shut it off and know it's game time.
Trey Green, it's your guy, man.
All 4 of those touchdowns were as a receiver last year, but yeah, look, he's going to be a freak. He's a guy that is going to be a household name this year. I think he's a guy that can make so many things happen. That you have that athleticism, that size. He's going to be a weapon.
I would love to be able to really talk about that with you in post game tomorrow. You're like, hey, you're talking up Trey Green, the matchup nightmare, right?
Because we knew, we talked about it in the game. Like he had some terrible routes and made some big touchdowns. I'd like to see where he keeps getting better. Each understands the game and just he's going to be great.
All right, Rich, we'll talk to you on pregame tomorrow, and, of course, you'll be there for postgame as well. Thanks a bunch, as always. We're going to continue here with the show. Jimmy will join us when we come back from the break. Lock of the Week Friday presented by Tex Morris at Edward Jones Investments from Rufino's on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris of Edward Jones Investments. Now, back to Live at Lunch from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And return here at Rufino's, where we're in the newly remodeled bar here. Looks fantastic. Jimmy,
your first chance looks good, man. Yeah. The lighting, it's just clean. It's freshly shaven, man. We updated the TVs.
Even Barry the bartender.
Man, what the
better.
hell's going on around here? As it says. I mean, this looks sharp. Certainly, it is. is updated and made it more functional and more roomy for our bartenders as well. So Barry's been doing backflips. He's so excited. So he is the epitome of optimism right now. So it's a good time. No, it looks sharp, man. Looks clean. Looks sharp. Yeah.
Before we get into games from last night, I had my say at the beginning of the show. Richard and I talked about it. This story kind of broke while we were on the air yesterday about A.J. Halsey. Before we move on,
Brian Kelly. So I brought it to your attention 2 weeks ago. I was like, Charlie, did you see the team picture? Oh, Jimmy, everybody's got the – okay. But there's more staff than players. That just kind of makes an impression on me. I mean, when we're trying to be more efficient and, Cincinnati is selling their home game when they had like 10 people from Cincinnati in the stadium. Over under. I mean, it was, everybody's trying to, because they have to pay the players, and they're trying to adjust abruptly to have, because you better have a budget or you're not going to compete for a roster build. So everything. And for Brian Kelly, that picture does not match that quote from Brian Kelly. We were informed about this Wednesday. That is unbelievably poor, unbelievably lazy, flat out incompetent. You're not scouting. This is not LSU wasn't the only one to offer this guy, so you had to pay him money too. What if I'm the donor? That you're begging, and you're trying to do everything to try and hustle, people to what it would pay him for. But Kelly, he's not good at recruiting. He really doesn't like it. Okay, so let's give him all the staff to handle it. And that is unbelievable that you did not know. There's no excuse. There's no excuse. And don't be asinine. Don't point your finger at Clemson. No. Because you got to control what you control. If your opponent is doing something to upset you, they're doing their job. But it doesn't matter if Clemson did what or when they did it. This is all. We were informed Wednesday. That's inexcusable. I'm sorry. He's being compensated more than that, Charlie, and it's all on him. But it's a trickle down. How many people of this 100+ staff were assigned to scouting him, dealing with him, offering him? I mean, it's not on like Mountain West TV. It's on ESPN. I remember the fight. I've never put the two together. The Houston. I mean, I can't say that, but.
It wasn't a secret that there was a fight. It wasn't a secret that this happened in this game, and I'm with you. I'm sorry. Yeah, this is on you, and I'm sure Kelly went and peeled somebody's skin off.
How else can you interpret it?
There's no other way.
No, that picture with that staff and that statement does not match. Should not happen. You can't operate in this hyper competitive industry. Yeah. And have those things happen. You can't do it. That's inexcusable. And that's, man, that Kelly, man, that's it might not matter. We don't know. We could never be able to tell now if I just don't know. We'll never be able to know just how much it was going to impact the game. Even after watching it, we'll kind of have an idea, but there's no way to prove, this cost you the game. But, man, you're so in everything you do to try and put you in position to give you the upper hand or give you a competitive advantage. And that is – and it's a little scary because you're not watching as much tape as we think. Oh, well, these guys are doing it. They got to break. No, you cannot watch that kid's film and miss that. You can't do it. If you're employed by LSU, you better know that rule. That rule's not new. That rule's not new.
Yeah, and it's not obscure. This is not the Ronnie Prude leverage rule that it gets called once every 10 years.
No, this is the BYU. The other kid from BYU.
He missed the game.
At the half.
The half.
For the bowl game
for the next game. And if I can only imagine that somewhere at Clemson they are laughing right now, thinking certainly somebody at LSU is going to catch this before. Before we get to 2 days before the game.
It doesn't, man, from if you're worried about LSU, we're grading LSU, we're evaluating LSU. He's got whatever Clemson does not factor in.
No,
Period.
It does.
Period.
It doesn't.
You're completely missing. Man, I don't care if your kid's in first grade to you coaching at LSU and you got 100+ staff. Okay, you got to control what you can control.
And they waited till the end. You remember the Pine Tar game, right? With George Brett.
Yeah.
The Yankees saw that bat was illegal a month before. Listen to Greg Nettles, the old third baseman, tell the story. He's like, we were waiting for him to get a big hit.
I don't want to dwell on that because if it's
this
from
is
LSU's
on
perspective.
LSU. This is on Brian Kelly.
I feel like I've seen it all, but two yesterday just boggle my mind.
Yeah.
That one, and then this man has owned the Cowboys since 1989. He has been pretty involved in the negotiations. I would say, what would you say, 98 to 99% of the deals done in the NFL are done through an agent?
Yeah.
He says, no, we wanted to do, but, Michael wanted to use an agent. Wait, that was like one of his reasons why they couldn't sign him.
No, that's
bro. Crazy. Wait. Now I told you these guys are getting up in age and they saying it's a silly thing, but like he said that that was like a reason why they couldn't get the deal done with Parsons. He wanted to use an agent. Well, damn it, Jerry. 99% of everybody but Lamar Jackson in the league is using an agent.
You're pretty much required to go
Jackson
through
dealt his own.
No, you can operate without an agent if you want to, but if they have an agent, you're pretty much required to go through them because that's the
And this
the
is
whole
not
deal.
some fly-by-night guy.
No.
Michael Parsons doesn't have a guy. So, I mean, I just – well, and then with should I be some Jimmy, Jerry Jones is a bad owner. Okay, so I mean that's not new, but man, this the Brian Kelly thing that's disappointing and alarming.
It really is. I can't disagree with anything you said there. I watched some football last night. That was fun.
Much more competitive than usual with some of these matchups. The MAC schools kind of represented themselves pretty well. Akron only gave up a late touchdown, or they would have all covered in those matchups.
Yeah.
South Florida, we hit that one, and boy, as it got deeper and deeper in the game, they just got more and more with the conditions.
Boise, I thought was completely gassed in the second half, but yeah. I felt great about that one at halftime because Boise controlled the first half. Yeah. They had the ball so much, and it's like, how the hell are you guys trailing? Right? Yeah. I would have felt okay if the score had been reversed with South Florida because Boise's the amount of time they had the ball, the big turnovers that they made, they should have been leading by more than they should have been leading, and they were trailing by 3. If they had been leading 10-7, I'd have felt good with South Florida at that point. It's
Elon, but Darius Mensa looks good. I mean, he had a long touchdown that was dropped too. So I mean, he looks really, really good, and nobody knows. But even Scott Van Pelt, they paid a hefty price. Nobody knows exactly what, but they say. But to see like Auburn and a lot of other, can't get beat out by Duke. I just still trying to figure that one out. I felt fortunate to cover with Buffalo. I thought they were game, but boy, Minnesota, for the amount of time they had the ball and the amount of time they control the line of scrimmage to only – It did.
And they ran the clock out at the end. 10 minutes with the ball. They were not trying to score.
No.
They wanted to, they just didn't want to give them the ball back. Buffalo's offense couldn't get out of their own way. So I felt fortunate to cover with that one, but we had it.
Yes and no. It was 13-10, in the fourth quarter. So,
yeah, and it was one big play Buffalo had.
With the ricocheted interception.
The ricocheted interception was very lucky.
Because you go down 14-0 or 10-0 instead of 7-3, yeah, they probably do cover. So they got the break. But I still thought Buffalo was
They were game.
Okay.
That defense was.
They're okay.
They were game. They're solid.
That guy's done a good job there, and they've got a lot of guys coming back. They have a favorable path to the MAC championship game. I picked them to get there, but DeQuan Finn is going backwards. He's at Toledo, then he went to Baylor, got beat out, and then went back to Miami, Ohio. But he doesn't have a whole lot. They were 0 on third downs last night. And another third down statistic. This Trent Dilfer thing. Get ready, because when that line comes out Sunday afternoon or whatever, Navy, again with Horvath coming back against UAB, Charlie, a SWAC school, put up 40, 500 yards of offense, and they had 14 third downs. How many did they convert against UAB?
Well, if they put up 500 yards, I'm going to say they converted 10 or 11.
I'm sorry, 15.
15. I'll still say 10 or 11.
13 of 15 on third down for a SWAC school against you, bro. It is coming. They were down double digits in the second half. And so
they scored 35 points in the second half to win that game.
It was a big 3rd and 14. They handed the ball right up the gut. The guy didn't get a touch for 50 yards for UAB to kind of put it away. So, but that defense that Trent Dilfer thing has been Bill Clark was really good. He was really good. I don't think Bill Clark can go to Alabama and win as many games as Nick Saban, but I don't think Nick Saban can go to Birmingham and win as many games as Bill Clark did at UAB.
He's a really, really nice fit.
But good night though.
What do you think of Raiola?
He's improved. They got to push the ball downfield.
Yeah, they're keeping it real safe for him. Everything is underneath. Ding.
The biggest thing is I thought Cincinnati was a little bit quicker than them, and
they look slow. Nebraska looks slow.
So if you don't have guys that can separate or get vertical, I mean, you have what you have. I think he's fine, and I think his passing was kind of the difference in the game. The Cincinnati quarterback said, "Screw it, I'm just going to go with my legs." But I thought Matt Rule was poor last night. He's better than what he showed. I mean, you're up 10 points, and you're going to go for it in like 4th and medium. I'm sorry, if you're down 10, your level of aggression has to go up. But, man, they got one field goal. Make them go 90 yards and punt the ball to the 10-yard line. Instead, he goes for it. They get the ball near midfield, and 5 plays later, it's a 3-point game. Game on. So he provided a spark for them because they were doing nothing, to that point. So, and I was real wrong. I said, what, 80-20, the crowd?
98-2.
They kept showing the same 4 kids from Cincinnati. I saw 4 fans from Cincinnati in the stands, and I saw Kelsey in the suite. That is it, bro. I mean, it was, and they wore their red.
They wore the red jerseys
to try and see like that was some of our fans and something like that. And
nice try.
So I did the geography, but it's like, okay, LSU is going to play South Alabama in Lake Charles. But South Alabama's home game. It was a 3-hour drive for the Nebraska fans. It was 6 for Cincinnati.
Was it only 6? Okay. I thought it was more than that, but okay.
That's your home game, and you're going to play twice as far away from your opponent? Charlie, that's a scheduling. That's in your Hall of Fame. Your scheduling.
It's right up there with Ole Miss in the 50s, right? In 50s and 60s.
Johnny Buck left a national championship on the table but he made more money at Tiger Stadium.
Got to keep the lights on some kind of way.
Runts. Once runts, always runs. Over here at Ruffino's, our appetizer features today, the crab ravigote, the shrimp crackers with crispy prosciutto and Italian salsa verde. The crab beignets, creamy crab filling with beer-battered saffron remoulade. Entree features today and this weekend at Ruffino's. Crab cakes. Going to do 2 4-ounce crab cakes with corn mock choux, crystal hot sauce beurre blanc. Suggested wine pairing is a Chateau Ste. Michelle Erotica. Aroca, not erotica. Where is my freaking mind? It's a Riesling, Charlie. It's a little sweet. But anyway, you could get another white as well. And a red snapper, skin on red snapper, jumbo lump crab meat, crab bisque, roasted potatoes. Suggested wine pairing is Sonoma Cutrer out of Chardonnay. That was our buddy Brian's favorite, Sonoma Cutrer. It was real buttery. Yeah, God rest his soul, but he was a regular over here on Fridays, one of our favorite sommeliers and characters, so we miss him. So supporting him, I'll get a little Sonoma Cutrer and with the red snapper later. How about that, Charlie? Sacrifice. Is it Lent? Friday we eat seafood?
It's Christmas Eve around
here
is what it is.
Good to have football, huh, Charlie?
Lock of the Week Friday.
3-1 last night. 3-1. That helps.
At Edward Jones Investments from Ruffino's 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris of Edward Jones Investments. Now, back to Live at Lunch from Ruffino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Remember, the show's available on demand, 1045ESPN.com, LouisianaSports.net. Deep dive on LSU. LSU's roster handicast up on YouTube right now.
All right, let's go out to San Diego, talk to my man Chris Massaro, who we were dining with and was so nice to treat us to, a little Aroma Kitchen out there by the South Point, man. Good wine, good meal. Chris, how you doing, buddy? Football season's here.
I know. What a weekend we have. And don't forget about some of these baseball matchups. You got your boy Paul Skeens coming up to Fenway tonight. Very exciting weekend. I'm pretty fired up about everything.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Boston still hanging in there, huh?
Yeah, we're 3.5 back. You know, if the Twinkies could have pulled off the win the other night, I think on Wednesday they're up 3 runs in the 8th, and they let that. It might have been 4 runs. They let that one slip away to the Blue Jays. It could have been 2.5, but you know what? 3.5 isn't bad. The Red Sox still have 3 games versus the Blue Jays later in the month of September, and Toronto is facing the Brewers this weekend. So both of those teams seem to be running on fumes. The bullpens are tiring out. I think that series with the Cubs and Brewers, the 5-game set really took a lot of steam out of both the Cubs and the Brewers. So we'll see. There's a lot of things to be settled here. Even our Padres, only 2 back, still get 7 with the Rockies. So a lot of things could still happen in the month of September.
All right, your biggest takeaway from the night in college football last night?
Well, it was a very frustrating night for me. I jumped in live in that Wisconsin game. I mean, let's just say this: Wisconsin. I mean, they're just never going to be good again. I mean, what a disgraceful performance in the first half. And then when O'Neal came in, I was familiar with him. He was the San Diego State Aztec quarterback last year. You know, guy on the smaller side, not much arm talent. Just very questionable decision making, as you could see, where he had a chance to, put points on the board, and he gets picked off in the end zone. But just terrible, because I saw O'Neal come in. I took Miami of Ohio plus 13.5 live, and we basically got a pick 6 at the end there. They got down to the 1-yard line, and Wisconsin wins 17-0. But, I mean, we were texting last night, some very bad offensive performances. I think you were saying it was 13-2 to the under in the first half. Most teams couldn't get much going. I wasn't impressed with Nebraska at all. I actually took a shot at 6-1 on Cincinnati to come back in the game, and sure enough, they're at the doorstep, driving in, and on first down, the quarterback goes a little crazy. Sorsby goes for the. I was happy he went for it, but you can't get picked off on first down.
No.
In that situation, I just not impressed with Nebraska. I feel like Cincinnati's going to be a good team to play on next week. You figure they just had a total crowd disadvantage in that game. There was a lot of false start penalties, and I think Cincinnati, they kind of got their sea legs in the second half, and they were the better team in the second half. And I think if that game went a little longer, they would have won.
Charlie, what's our rule though? First week of college football, huh?
We got ugly offenses.
Yeah, it's just a tough week, and that's why I like, and I think even more so in the first halves. So now look. Just the Division I, so not the FCS matchups last night. There were 8 all Division I's, okay, last night. 7-1 first half unders, but 7-1 under, period. The games that included FCS, 13-2-1 first half unders. So it's my same approach, Chris, I have with the first round of the NCAA tournament. Problem is, I'm looking at lines at like the high 50s or low 60s. 29, 28's like a loser sometimes in these first. The odds makers have caught up with it. It's more high volume than maybe the first week in these nondescript games in college football, because some of them hit pretty easily last night. So just an angle moving forward. First week only. So your thoughts on all that?
Yeah, no, I agree with you there, and I know. I remember in the tournament this year there were a bunch of numbers in the 50s, and you just have to sometimes grin and bear it and just go with your strategy. But as you mentioned, the odds makers have caught up to it. And I do want to make one more point about last night. You just got to look at this Mountain West and pretty much the in reality the last year of existence as a conference. I mean, what a disaster conference! If UNLV and Boise are supposed to be the top of the conference, I think we're in some serious trouble. Wyoming was struggling with Akron last night. I think it's a good idea that this conference is pretty much going to be disbanded, because this is just a horrendous football league. And we're going to see tonight UNLV on a short week going on the road at Sam Houston State. We'll see if they can make any. We were watching that game on the computer at the casino last week, and they couldn't stop. They couldn't stop a running nose. I mean, this thing could kind of spiral out of control for Mullen in his first year in Vegas.
Yeah, I won't be taking first half unders on that. It's UNLV's second, both of them, their second game. All right, Chris, you won our in-house competition last year with the 5-pack. in college football. The honor is yours. You go first. Who's your 5-pack for this weekend in college football?
Okay, I'm going with the first game. We got Washington playing Colorado State. I think the line's 21.5. If you can find 21 at some juice, I'd probably go for that. I think Jed Fish is going to have this offense humming. Damon Williams, as Max has pointed out, looked really good at the Manning passing camp. Last year in a limited time, he was 82 for 105, 78.1%,
Wow.
8 touchdowns, only 1 interception. So very impressive quarterback. Played against some good teams, too. Oregon and Louisville in the bowl game where he had 4 touchdowns. And I just don't like this Colorado State team at all. They're only returning 6 starters, 4 on offense and only 2 on defense. I'm not a big fan of Jay Norvell, not a big fan of Brandon Nicolosi, the junior. He had 14 touchdowns, 9 picks. They lose all 4 starters in the secondary. They get a new defensive coordinator, and they lose their number 1 and number 2 tacklers from their linebacker unit. So I think this is a situation. Jed Fish in his second year in Washington, he's got more guys in his system, solid quarterback, versus a weak secondary in Colorado State, not a great head coach in Jay Norvell. I'm going to lay the 21.5 or whatever number you can get out there.
Yeah, we're going to use our local shop, the DraftKings outlet, the Queen. So yeah, 21.5 at DraftKings right now. Your second pick?
Second pick. Let's go with New Mexico. I played this earlier in the week at 36.5. I know it's down to like 35 now. You know, the Michigan team. As soon as they named Bryce Underwood the starter, I just felt tough for a freshman. I don't care who they're playing to come in and cover a 35-point spread. They lost their top 2 receivers and the top tight end, Colston Lovell, into the NFL. And I just think there's going to be some growing pains. You got Idaho coach Jack Eck coming to take over New Mexico. His teams at Idaho made the playoff all 3 years he was there. He's got a solid defensive coordinator come in. He's more of a defensive coach. So I just think that's a lot of points. Opening game for a freshman quarterback, to cover. I don't care who they're playing. I figure there'll be, it won't be a high scoring game no matter what. And I'm going to back it up with the under in the game too. I think we're at 50.5, or maybe it's lower now. I think I played it at 50.5, so it's probably 48, 49 now. So I like New Mexico and the under, as I figure you probably won't lose both of these, and I think there's a good chance you can get both of them.
All right, 34.5, 49.5 currently right now at DraftKings. Coach Sharon, is this just one of those games, Charlie, that he's handpicked, that he's suspended, after that heavy hand penalty that the NCAA delivered?
That's a good question. I got to look that up. I don't know which ones they picked.
We'll see. All right, and like Rohan tells us, if they paid money for the guy in the pros, he's going to play. Michigan played Underwood. He's going to play. So maybe even it's ahead of time. All right, the last 2 picks, Chris.
Well, if he is suspended, that might be a good thing, because he is probably the worst coach in the Big Ten. So I don't have much respect for him as a X's and O's guy. Okay, 2 more. I'm going to play Arizona. I know it's moved a lot. I think we're at 17.5 now. I played it at 16 earlier in the week. You got to look at Hawaii off the island. Last year, Sam Houston State lost 31-13. San Diego State lost 27-24. Washington State lost 42-10. They did beat Fresno 21-20. Then they came to Utah State late in the season, absolutely shellacked 55-10. Quarterback is questionable. They put everything into that game. They had the VSiN crew out there. They're interviewing Timmy Chang. They have to walk.
Jimmy, Charlie, and Troy. 3 best buddies sitting around talking sports bets. Let's welcome in Troy Macker from Bet Rivers.
Troy, how you doing, buddy? We're all excited. Football's underway in college. Nice card last night. Some competitive games. The all Division I matchups, 7-1 to the dogs and to the under. So points on both sides were supreme. And first half unders, that's an angle we like to work as well, including the FCS games, 13-2-1. But anything, your take from the opening night of the first full weekend of college football, from the Bet Rivers perspective?
Yeah, if you add in the 1AA schools, so to speak, the dogs were 13-4 and the under was 13-4. So there weren't a ton of blowouts. The blowouts we did see, we're talking 29-0, but when the spread's 31.5. 34-7, things like that. So, not very many outside of the Missouri game, which is 61-6, and San Diego State 42-0. Those were really, the only blowouts. I like the Thursday, Friday before week one far more than I like week 0. I get that people want football all the time, but it's such a light slate, and it feels further away from the regular season. So I'm a big fan of Thursday night to kind of wet your palate and get you back trending in the right direction in terms of understanding lines and where teams are and where the trends are. I think there are more trends week to week in the NFL because there's less games. There's a closer, even from the best team to the worst team, there's a closer range of talent. So you can kind of figure out trends. But it seems like, Thursday night gave us a good trend of maybe continuing the under and dogs, or at least the unders for me as a heavy underplay heading into Friday.
I was with Max last week in Vegas, and he wanted to do a second. I said, man, be careful with any overs with the first game. Right. So, I compared it to an approach I had with the tournament for a while, but I think the odds makers have caught up with the first round, Thursday, Friday of March Madness in the first half unders. I mean, the numbers are too short. It's lower scoring in the overall game. Right. But, Charlie, I don't know if you saw last night, but didn't you think the offenses got a little bit better, a little bit more in sync in the second half in these games?
For yards, yes, but not necessarily for points.
Well,
Minnesota, Boise, it's not like those teams didn't move the ball. They just didn't score a lot of points, if that makes any sense to you.
Well, but they weren't even close to hitting the overs. So, I mean, that's why I take the first. I'm seeing, and look, the totals are more. They're going to be a little bit less, but not much. It's not nearly. So, say for a college basketball game, it might be 130 on the first day of the tournament. Mm-hmm. That thing is not 65 the first half. That thing is more like 59. Yeah. All right. Yeah. And if there's a total that's 54 last night, the first half is 26.5. Or something like that. So you're getting an honest number, is my point, for the angle that, it's a stage, there's new pieces, there's some jitters, there's some, some pre-snap penalties, some rust. I mean, just slow starting. So,
and it was the inability to finish drives. Boise had almost 400 yards of total offense. They scored 7 points. Minnesota had 450 yards of total offense. They scored 23 points. It just didn't translate into scores. They moved the ball. It just didn't translate into points.
Yeah, Troy, you were saying something?
Yeah, no, I was just saying I agree. Even in that Nebraska-Cincinnati game, 37 total points, the over-under was 52. And they threw the ball so much you'd figure this thing has to go over. But I saw some stat where they combined to throw the ball. They completed 68 passes for 350 yards, which equates to about 5 yards a pop, which is not a great way to matriculate down the field. It can get you close to the first down, but not to pay dirt.
Yeah. So it just, and look, if you watched the Nebraska game last night, we'll see, but you might have a little bit of that. I think Nussmeier certainly got a stronger arm and he could push it ball, and he's certainly got guys that can separate downfield, but the protection concerns. Might see some underneath stuff, and the yards per attempt for Nebraska it was low, man.
5.8, I think.
5.8 is what it was. 5.8 an attempt. That's really, really low. So we saw Texas is now the favorite in the Ohio State game, and we also saw tonight Auburn has been knocked down from 2.5 down to 1.5. Your thoughts on those line movements or anything else?
Yeah, in the Auburn game, we're taking a pretty good money on Auburn. 64% of the money, which doesn't seem like a strong percentage. 67% of the money on the spread, which is a little bit stronger because spread you're going to be closer to 50%. But I believe Auburn to cover is the most wagered on play tonight. We're also seeing pretty decent money on Georgia Tech -4.5. I think there's some public fading of Colorado in Game 1 with. Shedeur not being there. Yeah, so 78% of the money and 69% of the tickets on Tech to win, 61% of the money, 62% of the tickets on Tech to cover. against Colorado. And then, in Texas, Ohio State, Texas, if they win, I think they're going to be a public team regardless of whether or not they win this game. But I think if they win this game and Arch is impressive or is not as jittery as Julian's saying, I think Texas is going to be just such a heavy public play all year, just because Texas is back. We've been talking about it since Vince Young left. Is Texas back? And they are back as not just a powerhouse, but a public team. Right now, 19% of the total handle is on Texas to win and cover. And a lot of that money came in before they were favorites. People were taking Texas plus 2.5. I just think the shoe is such a hard place to play. I know, it's not a night game, so there won't be as many sitters. But, comparatively speaking, we're not, Ohio State to cover is the third most wagered on play. As you'd expect, Ohio State to win is the fifth. But the disparity in money on either side is pretty staggering, considering it's the reigning national champions who reload every year. So this is not a new thing, and they're playing at one of the toughest venues in the country.
Outside of the Luke Fickell year, how many times has Ohio State been a home dog?
Never.
Outside of that one transition year where they were going through all of the tattoo gate and all that stuff, they're almost never a home dog.
Oh, I don't think they were home dogs that year.
When they went 6-6, the transition year?
Oh.
Okay. That was the only year I could figure, because that's the only year that they've been not, elite.
Yeah. And so, Texas is going to be public. Arch Manning's team is going to be public.
You're not getting the updates on your phone? Max programmed your phone so you get all the Arch Manning updates.
You don't need any. You will get enough.
Make sure you got extra.
Yes. Well, what about Matt Barry? You going to chastise him? Last night in the game. For God's sake, can we just let this guy play a game?
I heard that.
You heard it?
Yep, loud and clear.
Okay.
I absolutely heard that.
So he's a hater, right?
No, I don't think
Well, when I say it, I'm a hater.
You said more than just that, though.
Troy, you guys on a 10. So me and Paul Stone do our picks in the high-profile games and on the College Sports Rush YouTube channel, Sports Bettor's Paradise, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 3 p.m. Central, live for half an hour or a little bit more. You guys, along with Doug Kazarian and Greg Waddell, doing the 10 Big Ten Orient. Give me a little bit of taste of what you guys' strong opinions on this slate.
Yeah, I think I might have convinced my cohort to join me on some unders this weekend, and specifically in Week 1 games, with heavy favorites. We're talking Illinois tonight against Western Illinois. Illinois 45-point favorite against the Leathernecks. The over/under is 63.5. That is just a lot of points. I think Illinois is going to blow them out, but the disparity in there is too much for me. And then Penn State versus Nevada. I think Doug was very keen on the first half Penn State point total over. But I just think, if it was like they're 35-point favorites, I think, or 44-point favorites or something like that, and the total was only 53.5. So it's just so close to the total and the spread being the same number that, in those instances, I can't take a team to win by 40 or more. It's just impossible to know, like we had a handful of 30-point favorites last night, and I think only one covered. So, I'm on the under there of Penn State and Nevada. But as I've mentioned time and time again, I'm an unders player. I think it's easier to predict when teams won't score or if teams are really bad, and Week 1 is a perfect time for that because people are, getting their sea legs back. And as we saw last night, unders went 13-4. So we're going to be breaking down every Big Ten game as we can. And, the Bet Rivers is a very big market in the Midwest. So this is a focus for us. And, a couple teams in that conference are right at the top of the heap in a year that we're trying to figure out who's the elite team. There's like 8 teams that could be elite, but I don't know, even know if there's one. But, Ohio State in the mix, Penn State in the mix, Oregon in the mix. Michigan could be on their way back. So it should be a very interesting year and just a ton of games with a ton of new teams in Oregon, Washington from the West, USC, which I think is a sleeper pick. So very excited for the Big Ten season.
Yeah, and I will bet more totals in all unders this week than I'll bet the whole rest of the season. So in college football. So, I mean, yeah, this is my favorite week to do it as well. Follow Troy on Twitter at Troy Macher. That's Machir. Troy, you're off on Labor Day, I suppose, huh?
Yes, sir. I'll be fishing my kids out of the pool for the last time this year.
There you go. Enjoy your day off. Our entire local lineup will be here. It's a busy day for us on Labor Day for recapping the first full weekend of college football. Troy, enjoy the kids, man. Have fun. Enjoy the pool. We'll talk to you next Friday.
Thanks. Have a good one, guys.
All right, don't forget our friends over at the Total Maintenance. That unit breaks down. It's hot. Some horror stories of people, man, it took me a day or two and had to sleep hot. You will never sleep hot if you call 480-1000. Service today, every day, means you will not sleep hot. 480-1000. It's Total Maintenance is one of South Louisiana's oldest and largest air conditioner and heating companies. My buddy Lucas Ragusa has been in the industry and for 30-some-odd years in every step, from technician to, office to manager to owner. Just, he knows what it is, what it takes to put together a quality staff and to run an efficient operation. Always customer-centric. So it breaks down. Call the folks who support us right here on the show. Total Maintenance, 480-1000, 480-1000.
Live at Rufino's. Log of the Week Friday presented by Tex Morris Edward Jones Investments on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris of Edward Jones Investments. Now, back to Live at Lunch from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Certainly wasn't one of the headliner games last night, but Oklahoma State beat UT Martin 27-7, but they lost starting quarterback Hoss Hingie for most of the season, if not all of it. He has been diagnosed with a broken foot. He left that game in the first half last night. Zane Flores. It was a really close battle throughout most of camp. Who was going to win that starting job? Hingie ended up winning it, and he had to leave the game last night. They've decided that is a broken foot. He will miss at least half of the season. They're going to have surgery for him. Oklahoma State wins last night, but at the cost of their starting quarterback.
Don't want to overreact to ugly offensive football, but that wasn't pretty either. You got to score.
They averaged 3 yards a carry against UT Martin.
I know. You know what? Duke gave up more rushing yardage than they had last night. They got outrushed by Elon, and was doing it kind of bad. But
the game was close. Huh? I mean,
for the first half.
In the first, yeah.
No,
they hung around longer than I thought.
No,
I didn't watch any of it.
Yeah, they were rusty offensive football early, and then they got going. They meant to have one drop from about 50-yard touchdown, and so. But he looked just.
Yeah, you got away in the fourth quarter. That's right. It
was before the fourth. They scored every possession. I think the second half, and
they scored 35 points in the second half.
Yeah. You want an ugly offensive football? Wyoming, Akron. That was 3-0 with 5 minutes to go.
We wanted football. We get all kinds last night. You want offense? Watch UAB.
I think things are Stillwater may be in trouble though.
Hour number 2 straight ahead. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
He's out there somewhere in the world. Maybe even your local sports book.
Can anybody help us?
Let's bring in Bruce Marshall.
Brucey, how you doing, buddy?
I am wonderful. Nice to see you last week, Jimmy.
Yes, indeed. Always a pleasure. He was decked out in his Nevada gear. Little game James. Scheduled him. Yeah. So it was part of the.
You know me. I like to shake it up with those my very limited wardrobe.
Hey, so first game unders, first half unders, the all D1 matchups. There were 8 of them last night. 7-1 underdogs, 7-1 unders, 7-1 first half unders. You throw in the FCS games as well. 13-2-1 first half unders last night. The MAC showed me. They just get pushed around. I think Charlie said it best. It was defensively where they've provided a little bit more resistance. Where the MAC has been rated. It's in a tough spot, but. Buffalo's in that game, man. Miami, Ohio was in that game. These games late. So Akron was in the game. But your biggest takeaways from last night?
Well, I did hear a rumor that in lieu of community service, the Akron-Canton court system will be using an endless loop of Wyoming versus Akron replays for sentencing this next week. So, but I don't know if that was more grim or Miami, Wisconsin. But yeah, I mean, it was a under night. Nebraska, Cincinnati. I was under a net. I was a little worried at the end that thing could get to overtime. I've had a few of those in the past where the overtimes I've heard. But I'll tell you what I took away from yesterday, and it is, and I think this is the growing analytics in college football. Yeah, obviously, I mean, the under thing was definitely to look at last night, and the underdogs played pretty well. But let's look at a couple of those games, if I could, really quick. Nebraska, you're up 13-3 in the third quarter, and you're really controlling the game.
Yes.
You've got a 4th and 3 at the 42 of Cincinnati in your first drive of the third quarter. I mean, conventional wisdom is say punt the darn ball down inside the 10 and make Cincy draw. They're not driving the ball too well. Why would you go for it there and risk turning the momentum around, especially if you're going to call a poor play? They called a poor play, incomplete, and Cincy's all of a sudden now starting to drive at their 43. Momentum, they go in, and suddenly the game is 13-10. They had no business being that close. How about Boise? You're talking about this. This is a 4th and 2 at the 22 in the third quarter. Maybe it's a 4th and 3. They're down 17-7 to South Florida. Again, conventional wisdom. Pick the bloody field goal. Get yourself within one score. What's this Dan Campbell-like bravado? Got to go for it on 4th down. I guess that's what analytics tell you now. Go for it. No. Kick it, because what these analytics don't do is what happens if you miss. Then your chances diminish greatly. That ended the game for Boise at that point. They missed. They had a bad call. It's sort of like this. When I was in Atlanta last month at the SEC Media Days, I was talking to somebody there who was expounding upon analytics. And I said, okay, what do? You're down 15 midway in the fourth quarter, and you score a TD. Now, you got it tonight. Do you go for 1 or 2? And he said, obviously you go for 2 because percentages say you have a greater chance of making 2 than not making it. And I said, wrong answer, buddy. Because if you miss it, you're down 9. That's 2 scores down. I can't. This analytics stuff. There's so much more to it than okay. Go for it. That's it. Yep. What sort of play do you run? What has worked? What hasn't worked? Do you pass? Do you run? Do you run a quarterback sneak on 4th down? It's not. There's got to be a lot of other variables that I don't think are calculated into some of this stuff. This analytics stuff, you don't see NASA using football analytics guys to help out with their trips into space with the shuttle. You don't see Elon Musk using football analytics guys to help build his rockets. This stuff is really, and yeah, this is, I don't want to blame Dan Campbell all the way, but it's part of it. But this analytics stuff is driving me nuts. It really is.
13-3 lead for Nebraska. They had fallen behind 3-0, so 3 straight scores, and it was 4th and 2 from the Cincinnati 43. Raiola threw it. He was lucky it wasn't intercepted for a pick 6. So that was the only thing, though, Bruce. I've got to distinguish between the probabilities of making a field goal in college to the NFL. The college kickers are nowhere near the NFL kickers. Not even,
maybe.
Not even.
Maybe,
come on,
but
Bruce.
that's,
I mean, maybe. Come on, Bruce.
Maybe.
I mean,
no. Listen, I challenge that too, because 39, you should be able to make that. College kickers can make that. You can't tell me getting to 17-10. What's wrong with that? Why go with this bravado stuff? I'm not buying it. I'm sorry. And one more thing, the one back, a short yardage offense is not good, especially if the quarterback doesn't like to pull the ball out. How many times have you seen defensive linemen just collapse on the one back? What's wrong with the old full house backfield? Jim Otis never lost a yard in college football. Woody Hayes with those 3 backs lined up. That is such better short yardage offense than this one back stuff. You can't convince me that football's evolved into a better thing when that's the new strategy. I don't get it.
Wisconsin trying to go back to their roots after their experimentation where they were going to go spread offense and things like that. And so, but the problem is it's just not a button that you push. They don't have the linemen that they want. It's going to take some time because they just got Charlie 3rd and 10 from about the 15 last night. You know what they call?
A draw.
3rd and 10 or right up the middle.
Yeah.
Read option, just give. Right up the middle. Kind of. I wouldn't call it a draw because it wasn't really a delay, but it was. And then they went for it on 4th down, and they missed it. That was ugly. But we're not going to overreact to ugly offensive football in Week 1 because it's a lot more common than normal. The other thing about Nebraska, I agree, because you provided the spark for Cincinnati. They have really done nothing since very early. So you kind of – and I just didn't like – I didn't think it was calculated for that reason. You had controlled the game, and what was the chance of Cincinnati going 90 yards against you at that point? The other thing is, damn it, them Nebraska fans are hungry. They're hungry, Charlie. I mean, they were. That place, a neutral site game. We tell you, get off campus, atmosphere becomes more sterile. That place was popping. They are so hungry for a winner. But guess what? I'm not going to overreact to that roster. The roster is just, they're a little bit better. Maybe they won a one-score game instead of losing because they lost the majority of them last year. But they're nowhere close to being able to challenge for anything relevant.
They don't have any the lack of explosive players. There were times where you'd see holes open up, and what elite backs would get sizable gains, double-digit gains. They were getting 2 and 3 yards. I just didn't see that explosive player out there. Trey Palmer, who the Saints just signed, went up there, and he was the fastest guy on the team. He couldn't get on the field at LSU, but he was their number one receiver for 2 years.
Right.
They don't have that guy. That really, at least I didn't see him last night.
Bruce, let's get to your picks. Who are we looking at this week?
I'll tell you tonight. I'm thinking Sam Houston tonight against UNLV. A lot of questions about Dan Mullen. Listen, UNLV was in position that against Idaho State last week. That was down near the college version of Grimsby Town versus Man United in the English League Cup this week. I mean, they darn near lost that game. They gave up over 550 yards. And if Idaho State didn't turn it over on its 2 drives late in the game, they had a chance to win that thing. There is a thought in Vegas that UNLV hired Mullen to cash in on a buyout, just like they did with Barry Odom. And within 2 years, they may not be able to pay this contract beyond 2 years. They needed to get bought out by somebody like Purdue did with Odom. They got to win, though, and I'm not sure. We talked about this last week. I'm not sure the attention to detail isn't quite there, and that is like a new roster pretty much. The quarterback from Virginia did well last week. Colin Dre was not bad, but you're laying like 10 tonight. Sam Houston didn't look all that bad against Western Kentucky, which I think is a good CUSA team. And Watson, the quarterback, looked like he could do some things. Phil Longo, that was one of the, a few games we saw some offense last week. I guess we saw it with UNLV too. But I would think, Sam Houston tonight is interesting. Now, how about this Georgia Tech Colorado game? Boys, I don't know that Georgia Tech has played in the state of Colorado since 1978, November. It was a snowy day, blizzard almost. Eddie Lee Ivory ran for an NC2A record, 356 yards at Air Force. Do you know who the coaches were in that game? I'll tell you in a second. But,
Dan Devine?
How about try Pepper Rogers and Bill Parcells? Okay, Bill Parcells.
Parcells at Air Force. Okay.
1 year. That was it, yeah. So they're back in Colorado tonight. This one I find a little bit tricky. A lot of Deion, he's had to go to the portal before. He lost the Heisman winner. He lost his quarterback, his son. Salter was a little disappointing at Liberty last year. The people back there told me they thought all year Salter was looking to cash in, and he didn't have quite as good a year as he had 2 years ago, but he did look like a playmaker 2 years ago. That pauses me a little bit, but I think Georgia Tech is a team to watch here. This is a big game for Haynes King. Remember when he was at A&M, he played Colorado. Well, that game was in Denver 4 years ago, and that's when he hurt his leg, and that knocked him out that entire 21 season. Big game for him. I think Brent Key's kind of a special coach. You like him, Jimmy, too, and so do you, Charlie.
Yeah.
I think I might go with the Yellow Jackets tonight in Boulder.
-4. Yeah. Yeah, -4. So got so many guys coming back. Yeah, no doubt. All right, who else, Bruce?
Yeah, let's jump a couple on the weekend real quick. Rice is interesting here with Scotty Abel coming in, and coming in from Davidson and at Washington Lee before this is a Navy sort of offense that he runs, and they like the quarterback Jenkins there. Now I'm going out on a limb here that Rice is going to be kind of an awkward foe. Raging Cajuns get to see this offense first tomorrow. You're laying almost 2 touchdowns. That might be a little much, so I might give the Owls a shot. And Saturday night, this is old Pac-12 after dark. Cal, Oregon State. Cal won this game big last year, but we know what happened in the offseason with Cal, mass exodus and all of that, especially after spring. Malik Murphy is now at Oregon State as their quarterback after Duke last year in Texas before that. But from what I hear, this freshman from Hawaii, Sagaputulele, the last name, left-hander, he beat out Devin Brown, the Ohio State transfer. And Brown, I thought, was going to win that job, but they love this kid a lot. I have tremendous respect for Justin Wilcox, and he can put this thing together. You're getting this number's dropped a little bit, but I still think Cal is worth a look. One more
plus
look.
+1.5 right now. Yeah, 1.5 right now.
That's dropped a bit. They're going to have to win it, but I think they can. They beat these guys 44-7 last year. One other one. Jump ahead to Sunday. Okay, the Miami, Florida, and Notre Dame game. Now, let me finish my thought from a couple weeks ago. Why did I think Notre Dame under 10.5 wins this year was a worthwhile look? Guys, since Frank Leahy left, 53, and Terry Brennan the next year, first year good. They were 9-0, 9-1, back-to-back years. That's 70 years ago. There has been only one time in the 70 years since, and this is excluding the 2020 COVID season, only one time where Notre Dame has gone back-to-back seasons with 0 or 1 loss in the regular season. A couple of times they had ties in there, too, but 0, 1 loss. It's happened once. Holtz did it in 88 and 89. There have been a lot of great Notre Dame teams the last 70 years. Eric Parsegian never did that. Notre Dame lost 1 game in the regular season last year. I say history says they're not going to lose 0-1 this year. History says they're going to lose more than 1. That's why I like this thing under. New quarterback coming in. I'm not sure how Miami with Carson Beck, how this is going to work, but Notre Dame has had real experience at quarterback the last couple of years with those guys coming in, Hartman and Leonard. They're going with a totally green C.J. Carr. They like him, but he is green. I think Notre Dame could lose this game, so I'm going to lean a little bit to Miami.
49.5 is what we're looking at right now. So under Notre Dame, Miami 49.5, Cal plus 1.5. You and Max are both on the Rice Owls plus 11.5. Georgia Tech -4. That's one of my top picks of my And Sam Houston State. We don't like to overreact, and and we've done this so long, Bruce. When I tell you, okay, this happened, well, how are the odds makers going to adjust? And they're always guarded. But in this era where the rosters are so year to year, and there's less continuity and there's more variance from season to season, how good or how bad these teams are, I think I saw some alarming signs in UNLV against Portland State. I'm not going to overreact to ugly offensive football in week 1, but I could sound the alarms for ugly defensive football. And Portland State went up and down the field.
One other thing about that one, I think the odds makers are forgetting. Last year, I know Longo's a new coach in there, Sam Houston too. This team won 10 games last year. They won their bowl game. Last year this game wouldn't have been 10. At Sam Houston, as good as UNLV was last year, no, it would have been a tough game. They are completely underrated, Sam Houston. One more under the radar game, really quick. I know you like some of these. I'm going to ride Utah State for a while here. UTEP, this number's going up a little bit. Bronco Mendenhall is going. This could be the sleeper team in what now looks maybe a wide open Mountain West. Bryson Barnes, the old Utah quarterback, was there some at Utah State before he got hurt last year. They like him. That offense was actually pretty good last year. And let me just see if UTEP's really better. Malachi Nelson, the old quarterback from USC in Boise, well regarded out of high school. Now he's at UTEP, but surrounding him, I'm not sure about the rest of the minors who really struggled in Scotty Walden's first year. I'll lay it with Bronco Mendenhall, though that number has been moving up as well.
All right. I'm trying to find that number right now.
5.5.
5.5?
Utah State minus 5.5.
Okay. There it is. Yeah. It's at 6 right now at DraftKings, minus 6. So minus 112. All right, Bruce, man, we're glad to have football back on Monday night. You expect to see, a guy that's distracted or a team that's more buttoned up and just blocking and tackling a little bit better. TCU is better this year.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like TCU, although, the Belichick thing, what concerns me is Belichick has had all summer to go to school on what TCU does. They're running this, Hoover, he's very productive. The TCU was pretty good last year, and a couple of close losses away from maybe being in the playoff conversation. I kind of want to see North Carolina before I jump one way or the other with them. I lean a little bit to TCU, but I think this one I'm just going to watch on Monday.
Yeah. The betting public, I think, Carolina opened up a favorite in the game.
Yeah.
And it's a soft schedule. It's conducive to going 8-4. But what is she saying? We're not talking about that. So maybe she's going to be calling timeouts. Maybe she'd be telling Bill to go for 4 on 4th down.
She got
to analytics. Does she have a degree in analytics?
She got a headset for tomorrow or for Monday.
I know she's got some real estate portfolio. Bruce, have a great weekend. Thank you, buddy.
Okay, boys, have fun.
All right. Don't forget our friends at United Community Bank, the local way to bank big, with locations from Baton Rouge to Golden Meadow. We've been serving the people of southern Louisiana for over 50 years. Running a business can be difficult enough without the right relationship with your bank. With United Community Bank's local business bankers, you're not just a number, you are a partner. You can contact our great team of bankers, Heath Meir, Nicole Glover, Hunter Creed, David Campbell, David Henry, Prentice Wilkes, and discuss how we can help your business today. United Community Bank member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Live at Rufino's. Log of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris at Edward Jones Investments on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Charles Hannegriff's 5-pack of picks. Brought to you by Supreme Rice. Make sure you use Louisiana rice, grown by Louisiana farmers since 1936. Available at most local grocery stores. Supreme Rice.
And return here at Rufino's. Time to
give me Supreme Rice 5-pack, Charlie.
Supreme Rice, man. That's my guys over there. All right, let's start off tonight. I'm taking Baylor plus a 1.5. I'm not a big Jackson Arnold fan. I'm even less of a fan if they're going to rotate multiple quarterbacks, and even worse than that, if they're going to rotate multiple play callers.
I don't think they're rotating quarterbacks.
Well,
he said they could see.
Okay.
All three.
Either way, if Jackson Arnold goes out there and throws for 300 yards tonight, God bless. But I'm just not a big believer in him, and their play calling situation alarms me. Auburn's also replacing 3/4 of their defensive line. Baylor's got everybody back, just about 18 starters from last year, including quarterback Sawyer Robertson. It's all their skill guys except one, all their linemen except one. They won 6 out of 7 in last year before they lost to LSU in the bowl game. Aranda's very high on this team. I'll take Baylor. And the 1.5 at home. Also like Georgia Tech tonight, a little twin bill tonight. Georgia Tech minus a 4 at Colorado. Life without Shador and Travis Hunter for Dion. But Colorado, it's more than just that. They don't return a single skill position starter. They also lose their starting center. I mean, that seems like a lot to me. Haynes King, I thought really came on last year. I wasn't a big believer in him when he was at Texas A&M, but he certainly is a much better quarterback than that. It feels like he's been in college football for 10 years. But Brent Key has improved in each of his years. They have gotten better every one of the years in the first 3. And I think that they win this game tonight. I think it's been and cover. I think it's been a tough offseason for Dion. The health problems, the fact that he's coaching without his kids, for the first time, and then Travis Hunter. I mean, how can you possibly replace a guy like that? So I like Georgia Tech in this game tonight at Colorado. Southern Miss catching 14 at home tomorrow against Mississippi State. don't go back and this is one of the more bizarre things you'll ever see. Don't go back and look at Southern Miss's returning starters from a year ago. Go back and look at Marshall's, because that's the whole team. The entire team at Marshall was a very good team last year, transferred to Southern Miss. So that was a 10-2 Marshall team last year. Mississippi State, I think, is going into a hornet's nest. Little Brother's got a real chance here to win this game outright. I know they're 2-touchdown underdog, but again, this is not what Southern Miss is returning off that 1-11 team. This is Marshall's 10-2 team that they're coming back with. So I'm going to take the Golden Eagles plus 14 tomorrow at home against Mississippi State. That's an early game. Slide into the Sunday game. I like Miami plus 2.5 against Notre Dame. Canes have got the better quarterback, and we're going against a freshman in C.J. Carr making his first start on the road. First start on the road. We've used this angle many times. It's got a terrific track record. Canes returned 15 starters from last year's team that was pretty doggone good. I'll take Miami plus the 2.5 against Notre Dame. And then I'm going to take a leap of faith on Monday night. I'm going to take the Fighting Belichick's plus 3.5 against TCU. This was a pretty good offensive team for North Carolina last year. They weren't elite, but they were better than average. They averaged 31 points a game last year, and they were really scoring a lot of points at the end. I just got to believe, and 7 starters are back on that offense, I got to believe that Belichick counts for something on the other side of the ball, and he certainly knows about directing high-powered offenses. So it'll be a special night at North Carolina, this standalone game, this legend of football catching points at home. I'll take North Carolina plus 3.5. I am prepared to look really foolish if this doesn't work out, but I'm going to take the Tar Heels plus the 3.5.
All right, let's go back. This whole move reminds me of Bill Belichick. Not Bill Belichick.
Bill Walsh.
Bill.
Going back to Stanford.
No. Here, our boy. I'm drawing a blank. In the '80s, it took over
Bill
for Arnsparger. I mean, instantly, you saw guys blocking and tackling.
Yeah.
You saw less pre-snap penalties. You saw just a more buttoned-up outfit. I mean, it's obvious he's got some distractions. But man, he's got to count for something. And we know Mike Lombardi. Lombardi would not have taken that job if he didn't think Belichick. He might be having his concerns himself with all because it's been a bit of a circus.
And I can see that for sure.
But damn it, he's still coaching. And
the mind's not gone. It's still there. It's distracted, but it's not gone.
No, so I'm very interested. TCU took their lumps last year. They played a lot of guys, maybe before, knowing or at least feeling good that they'd be back this year. So they're a team to watch in that clustered Big 12 as well. Miami's won the last 6 in a row at home against Notre Dame. It dates back to 1985. Here's the scores. So 2025. 24-21 last year, 41-8, 31-10, 27-10, 24-0, 58-7. So catching points at home. We'll see about that. Beck, I want to see. I have no idea how he's going to look for the Miami Hurricanes. So I don't think he's going to match what your boy did last year coming from Washington State. Southern Miss, Charlie, this is, the guy brought 40 players with him. And how often do you make a jump? A 10-3 coach leaves for a job that was 1-11 in the same league. 10-3 to 1-11 in the same league. We knew Norvell went from Nevada to Colorado State when they had a better record and beat their doors off. But this is odd. And listen, State is the transfer portal in the NIL paying players. Has it affected Mississippi State and anybody get more than Mississippi State?
Not in the conference for sure.
Golly, it's just, and then of course they got the one guy who's going to get the most out of his roster who dies in Leach. So
But we said this before. Go to the COVID year where Mississippi State was a program, where Ole Miss was, and fast forward 5 years later, and it's opposite direction.
Georgia Tech, man, there's so much more continuity in place for Georgia Tech. He is good. Staff is consistent. His quarterback's there. They have a lot coming back. They are good. If you're not committed to running the ball and stopping the run, they're gonna lean on you because Haynes King is gonna run behind his pads, and you gotta worry. He's a threat to run. He's going to run, and because of that, it allows, because he's not pretty throwing the ball, but he's effective because those safeties are just caught up, coming in and run support. So, and yes, every year is completely different in this especially, and it's going to be a lot. I'm not crazy about the bulletin board material that the Georgia Tech player provided for Colorado, but I'm heavy on Georgia Tech as well, and we'll see both coaches in Waco and on the Plains say this is their best roster since they've had. And so, Auburn does return a lot on the offensive line. Their receiving core might be best ever.
It's really good.
Best ever,
really good.
because they have a litter of career 1,000-yard receivers, or 1,000-yard season receivers. You know how many they have in the history of their program?
1,000-yard receivers?
One season, 1,000-yard receivers.
I couldn't even guess.
2.
Wow.
2. That ain't many, huh?
No, it's not.
Okay, but Baylor, and Aranda, his words, this is our best roster, and that's including the team that won the Big 12 championship and won the Sugar Bowl. Now
that I think about it, Pat Dye probably never had one. I mean, all they did was run the football.
Right.
So
and then back in that era, but one was from the 70s and one was just recently. But and we'll see. We'll see now. If you freeze, Arnold's going to play. Okay, Arnold's going to play. He kind of said that tongue in cheek. Now the play calling. They're trying to claim that they did it last year. Well, it didn't work if you did it last year. But no, I don't expect to see anybody but Jackson Arnold. And, he's – how good is he? I don't know. But I know that he ain't as bad as what they had last year. That was pitiful last year. So
you're talking about after Peyton Thorne, or
I'm talking about every snap they took. The overall level of play at quarterback position for Auburn last year was horrendous. I
can't argue with that.
I
really can't.
And so we'll see if Freeze is passed him by or just whatever. So we'll see. But very good game for a Friday night. So that Georgia Tech and Baylor. So North Carolina, Miami, Southern Miss, Georgia Tech, and Baylor. Climate smart program, Charlie. So Supreme Rice's Louisiana rice farmers, man, why did jambalaya start? Because it's one of our resources here in the state. And, man, they're just so committed, not just to Louisiana rice farmers who they deal with, but also the future of Louisiana rice farms that deal with a vision. And this program, this Climate Smart program, is a visionary program.
It is, and it promotes water conservation, reducing methane emissions, and you can see the labeling on all of your Supreme Rice packaging. And you know what? They're expanding their operation. They're in more and more grocery stores in the Houston area that you can take advantage of that for all our LSU alumni that listen to the show from over in Houston on YouTube or on the live stream. Make sure you can pick up Supreme Rice in Houston as well. For more information and great recipes, go to supremerice.com. Jimmy's picks are up next when we return. Lock of the Week Friday is presented by Tex Morris at Edward Jones Investments on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jimmy Ott's 5-pack of picks, brought to you by Supreme Rice. Make sure you use Louisiana rice, grown by Louisiana farmers since 1936. Available at most local grocery stores. Supreme Rice.
Before I get to my picks, one of my favorite picks is get to the Thibodeau store and the Pierre Part store before you start your tailgating. You're cooking, you're on-site cooking, whether it's just at your outdoor kitchen, you're having friends over, watch the games, and you're by your outdoor kitchen, outside TV, or you're going to campus next weekend and doing your thing on-site cooking. It is a must. Supplies, everything, pots and burners, and of all different sizes and price points, all the accessories, from the plastic things that are, you shake you shake it with the fish fry, with the little holes. Man, just good stuff. I mean, you talk about everything you need and then some. A lot of things you're not you wouldn't even think of, but like, man, this makes it easier. All the big egg accessories. You can't have a big egg without that electric fire starter, Charlie. So now's the time. It's crunch time. Get down to the Pierre Part store, the Thibodeau store, for all of your outdoor cooking needs.
900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodeau, Highway 70 in Pierre Part, and online, thethibodeaustore.com.
I'm a rambling wreck. Georgia Tech and a hell of an engineer. Give me the Yellow Jackets. You say you're warming up to Haynes King. I have been in love with Haynes King. He is coach's kid, okay, highly thought of. Man, didn't early on at Texas A&M, wasn't hitting as much, but it is a perfect fit for this coach and this system, and he could play for me. He runs behind his pads. He's tough, and man, he's just really, really good. So much more continuity. The staff in the roster going into Colorado, where the growing pains, they have to be. I mean, they just have to be. So, Prime's got all kinds of distractions as usual. So, Georgia Tech, my favorite side of this week. Toledo, you saw the MAC kind of, represent themselves okay last night. So, with, a lot of the games that they covered, and certainly didn't get pushed around. I like Buffalo at a price because I like their favorable path to the MAC championship game. They don't have as tough of a test. Toledo has a tougher one, but nobody's going to argue who's the most talented team in the MAC. That's the Toledo Rockets. Okay, they have continuity, and they've been able to hold on to some of their players as well. Clearly, the most respected roster in this league. Kentucky, where are we on the respect factor for their roster right now? It's ugly. It's ugly. And Stoops, then that contract, $40 million. Are they willing to pony up that? Probably not. That certainly helps him there. But the best coach, the most winningest coach in Lexington, may be under a little pressure this year. Give me Toledo plus 10 money line alert in that one. SOUTHERN, Southern Mississippi, USM. All kinds of events, functions, promotions for this one. They think they got a shot. We don't know exactly how it's going to look, but Marshall was the best team in the league last year, and he brought everybody with him. So it's a strange move as it was, and then Mississippi State is a little bit, clearly the worst roster. I mean, has any team in the SEC suffered as much as Mississippi State with the new era of roster building? No. And you got to go back to history. There's never – I think the program that's been hurt over the geographical evolution or the conference evolution, and this goes back 30, 35 years, but Southern Miss, Reggie Collier, they're a top 10 program. I know that's a long way away, but the one thing that still exists, they want a piece of the in-state SEC Pro-Vol. Southern Miss will be fired up to play. I think they might have a chance to really be in this one. Plus the 14 at home. It's a bit good of a home field advantage that they will have. Going to bet more unders, more totals, and I'll bet all season long this weekend. 7-1 to the under last night. First half unders as well. We're going to stick to the games as well, but my first under is Tennessee and Syracuse. Is that ideal? Do you really want to change quarterbacks as late as Tennessee did? No matter what you think on whose side of that story, Nico's got his side, Tennessee's got his. I kind of favor with Tennessee on this one, but might be a little growing pains with that. And also Josh Heupel has evolved. Just like Gus Malzahn, just like Hugh Freeze, just like Lane Kiffin, they'll kind of slow down that tempo once they realize they have no defensive linemen by the time they get to the middle of the season, playing more snaps per game. He has calmed it down. Defense and running game last year. Might be some more of the same. In Syracuse, nobody has lost more production, yards and in TDs than Syracuse. And Kyle McCord, the three receivers that combined for 2,900 yards. The running back who had 1,200 yards and 20 more TDs himself. Nobody lost more production, the offensive production. Home field, it won't be Nebraska dominant, but it'll be 85-15. That's a home game for Tennessee in the Mercedes-Benz Dome in downtown Atlanta, under 51.5. And then my favorite play is the under Clemson and LSU. Simply put, even without the safety for the first half, LSU's way better defensively than they've been in a long time. And until people see that they're better, improved defensively, you got to put the number where it is. So you're still going to get odds. But this one you talk about, and then the offensive line issues, I think I think it's pretty obvious, is going to be for some short underneath throws along the way. Those eat up the clock as well. I'll go under LSU and Clemson, 57.5. Georgia Tech -4, Toledo +10, Southern Miss +14, under Tennessee Syracuse, 51.5. Under LSU Clemson, 57.5.
So we both like Georgia Tech and Southern Miss. We talked about that, and we've talked for a month or more about the LSU Clemson under. So let me take the other two games. Toledo, I looked at this one a long time, and I probably should have taken it as well. I'll continue to say, and when he's eventually done there, I think that the turning point for Mark Stoops was when he took the A&M job, and then it was pulled from him because of the reaction down there. I don't think things have been the same since. I don't blame him for doing that. I would have done the same thing, but he felt like their guy before that. Okay, and now it just feels like, well, you're looking, you got 1 foot out the door. I mean, they even backed him when he went head-to-head with Calipari. I mean, talk about the football coach at Kentucky going head-to-head with the basketball coach and the football coach getting more support. It's not like that now. And I'm not a big Matt Calzada fan who's going to start a quarterback for them tomorrow. I like Toledo a lot in this game. One guy said yesterday, I forgot who said this. I'd give him credit. He said, man, we've talked about Toledo so much as being an under-the-radar underdog that we like. It almost feels like we've gone too far.
Public dog?
Yeah, public dog.
I think they might be.
And so that's fine. I like Toledo. I like that pick a lot. Tennessee, here's what would concern me if I was a Tennessee fan. Joey Aguilar started 2 seasons at Appalachian State. He's supposed to get better in the second season, right? He went from a 63% completion percentage to 55%. His touchdowns went from 33 to 23. His interceptions went from 10 to 14.
Ooh.
And that's 24 interceptions over 2 years. Every single number got worse, and by a significant amount, too. So that would concern me if I was Tennessee. And, of course, this was a late deal. The Nico trade, they got him in the Nico trade with UCLA. So that would concern me if I was a Tennessee fan. We'll see how he goes tomorrow.
Don't forget, Baton Rouge, a brand new sponsor here on the show. Get ready for a fiesta of flavor, whether you're craving the sizzling fajitas, cheesy enchiladas, or the best margaritas in town. Las Palmas Mexican Grill and Rio Cantina Mexican Grill have you covered. You can bring the family, bring the friends, bring your appetite, from fresh guacamole to mouth-watering tacos that hit just right. It's not just dinner, it's a celebration. So why wait? Tonight, make it Las Palmas or Rio Cantina, 2 local favorites serving up authentic Mexican taste right here in Baton Rouge. When we come back, it's our law offices of O.C. Brown, Dana Brown, our Cappers Recap. So we'll run down all of our contributing handicappers from the week when we wrap it up here. Lock of the week, Charlie.
From Rufino's, presented by Tex Morris at Edward Jones Investments on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's Lock of the Week Friday, presented by Tex Morris of Edward Jones Investments. Now, back to Live at Lunch from Rufino's on Highland Road on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, Matt Humans got us started with a winner last night with Buffalo, so that hit. He also had Baylor plus a point, Sam Houston State against UNLV, Toledo in the points against Kentucky, UCLA in the points against UNLV, Clemson minus the points against LSU. Wes Reynolds earlier this week, he started with a winner last night.
Humans gave us LSU.
He gave us LSU? Okay,
LSU.
my bad.
Yep.
My bad. Okay, yeah, I had +4. Okay. Sorry. Thank you, Charlie. South Florida winner with Wes. He had them, right? Okay. UNLV, Sam Houston State over, Texas, Old Dominion, and Georgia State. Old Dominion and Georgia State getting a busload of points in their games. Andy Isco earlier this week, he picked Clemson in Ohio State. So he's taking the 2 home teams in the big ones tomorrow. Randy McKay, FCS. Well, that's his specialty. He stays in his corner. Abilene Christian, Idaho, Montana State. So make sure you don't mix up Idaho State with Montana. It's Idaho and Montana State in South Dakota. So a little 4-pack in the FCS from Randy McKay. Bruce Marshall, Sam Houston State, Georgia Tech, Rice, Cal, under Miami Notre Dame, and Utah State. Max, Middle Tennessee State. Who they fighting?
Middle Tennessee.
Under LSU Clemson, Rice plus 11.5. So both Max and Bruce have Rice plus 11.5. Virginia Tech plus 7.5. Baylor tonight plus 1.5. Chris Massero earlier came on with Washington minus 21.5. New Mexico plus 34.5. Under 49.5. What under was that? Who was that under for?
Massero, 49.5. That was for the New Mexico-Michigan game.
Michigan. Okay, yeah, with the first-time starter, the true freshman. Arizona, minus 17.5. And Virginia Tech, also plus 7.5. And then, Charlie, you and I just gave ours out as well. Troy Macker gave out under Illinois. The Illinois game set 63.5. And then Doug Kazarian likes the first half Penn State point total over. Thinks they may light it up and may call the dogs off later. So our Cappers Recap on Friday is brought to you by Dana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown. Your law firm for a lifetime. You get in an accident, 343-1111. When I did, they had it. Man, it's just a pain in the butt. There's no doubt. But it really does soften the blow, just makes it as about pain-free as possible. So lining you up with the doctors, the specialists, dealing with the insurance companies, just everything along the course of the way. Downtown Dana Brown's going to handle it for you. 343-1111. You coming in also for LSU's home opener next weekend, staying downtown. You're looking for a bite to eat, man. The Town Square Pizza is only less than 5 minutes away from most of the downtown hotels. So downtown, facing Town Square. You kind of go through the line, you get a specialty pizza, or you can kind of create your own. They put it in the oven, and I mean, like 7 minutes later, it is piping hot. It's fresh. It's good. And it's you get big portions as well. Town Square Pizza, downtown, facing Town Square.
Middle Tennessee playing Austin P, the Governors.
Let's go, Pig.
Yeah, that's 6 o'clock tomorrow night. Tomorrow we are at Rouse's for Eagle 98.1 Game Day. We'll be starting at 1:30, 5 hours before the game. Actually, 5 hours and 20 minutes before the game. We'll start at 1:30 tomorrow. Be in the middle of Texas and Ohio State at that time, and lots of other stuff going on. Our entire staff will be a part of the pregame show, and then, of course, after the game, Richard Dixon and I will be taking your phone calls.
And George got Holy Cross tonight.
Holy Cross.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
From all of us here at Rufino's, for Jordan back in the studio, I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.